This afternoon's webinar is using the M1 to control Pulseworx UPB lighting. This is a collaborative effort between ELK and PCS. I want to remind everybody that a recording is being made of today's webinar, and a follow-up email will be sent to all attendees, including a copy of the presentation, a link to the recording of the webinar, and the questions and answers from this webinar. I also want to let you know about some upcoming webinars. PCS will hold a webinar on the Upstart program on Friday, March 29th, and ELK will present ELK M1 Basic Training on Friday, April the 5th. Now a little bit about our presenters. I'm sorry, I'm a little ahead of myself today, as I sometimes am. We're going to talk about how to ask questions. So you have a question box on the GoToWebinar control panel on the right side of your screen. We do want you to type in your questions, and we will answer those as we go through the presentation. If we don't get your question answered, it will be in the follow-up email that comes out after this broadcast. Now to our presenters. First of all, our ELK presenter is Amy Strickland. Amy is in ELK Tech Support. She has 9 years experience with the M1 control. She wears several hats, including the nice one that you can see on the screen there, but she's also in marketing, doing graphic design for us. She loves photography, camping, and spending time outdoors. And now our guest presenter is Scott Kladowski. Scott's also a fashion statement in his own right. He is the Director of Sales and Marketing at PCS. He has 30 years of experience in PLC lighting controls. He wanted me to tell everybody that he started when he was 6. He's also a techie, and he loves sailing. And now I will turn it over. Oh, no, I'm not doing that either. Thank you guys for being patient with me today. A little bit about ELK Products. ELK Products is the leading designer and provider of personalized security, energy conservation management, and convenience solutions. We were established in 1993. The end of the year will be 20 years for us, and we were founded by a veteran team of industry pioneers, and that is the security industry, but we decided to shake things up and make the M1 panel more than just a security product. We do try to be very innovative with our products and provide superior quality. A lot of our products actually have a lifetime warranty. And we do have industry-leading technical support. Our guys and gals, should say, are very patient, and they try to help our installers in every way possible, and we do have those great warranties for you. I will now turn the presentation of the webinar over to Scott.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. PCS has been a manufacturer and an engineering company. We're actually celebrating 21 years at this point in Powerline carrier technology. One of the things that we're kind of proud about is we're actually the first company to create a scene lighting control, the first company to do scene lighting control where a variety of different devices dim down or brighten up at one time over the power line. We actually invented the UPB technology, which is what Pulseworx is driven by. Was introduced back in 1999, and Upstart, which is used by all of the different licensees, is actually developed by PCS. A lot of people continually ask what's with all the different names within our company. There's kind of been a brand identity issue. PCS is actually the company. We manufacture, design and manufacture the Pulseworx product line as well as a couple of other product lines. So it's actually our brand of lighting controls, and UPB is actually the technology that drives everything. The one nice thing about UPB is that we have all the benefits of being a hardwired system without the need to run those new wires. We kind of call it wiredless. So with that, kind of a lot of people want to know what UPB is. It's a Universal Powerline Bus. There are 9 different licensees. We have 240 volt versions of the technology and the products. We've got a variety of hundreds of different partners, and ELK is one of our premier partners that actually promote and incorporate UPB into their lighting control. A lot of people ask us, how does UPB actually work? The patents really lie in our pulse position modulation, which basically the data is encoded into pulses and fired off on top of the AC sine wave. The nice thing about it is past Powerline technologies were very, very quiet, if you will. We're actually a 70-volt signal peak to peak. It's kind of like a big cannon shot of signal being shot out. And the bigger factor is that we're at a very low frequency when we communicate. It's kind of like that subwoofer. You're sitting at a stoplight and you kind of hear the thumper coming. You don't know where it's coming from, but with all the background noise that's going on, you're talking about listening to radio, things along that. If you're talking on your cell phone, but you do know where that thumper's coming from. So the nice thing about being at a low frequency, and we're actually transmitted between 4 and 40 kilohertz, it's very omnidirectional and powers through a lot of that stuff. And UPB is also two-way. Controllers can go out and poll devices, and they'll give you a response of what level they're at, where they're at, and when you manually change switches, they'll actually update on the power line as well. So the simplicity part about this is we have transmitters. On the left-hand side, we have keypads, the PIM-E, which is actually the interface we're using now with the ELK M1. And then we go and talk to receivers, or what we call load controls. We've got wall switches, lamp modules, output style modules, and fixture style modules. And we all communicate over the 120 volt wiring that's already in the home. So, Amy?
So I want to take a moment here. Hi, this is Amy with ELK Tech Support. I'm going to take a moment here to talk to you a little bit about the M1 product. It is a cross-platform control, and what that means is that we can control a number of different subsystems. So the M1 can be your security system, you can have access control, it can control things like lighting, which we're going to be talking about today, but also things like thermostats, and you can have garage doors, sprinklers, gates and locks and water valves, all these different things that we can control. So the M1 is kind of the central control for those types of things, and we can do scheduling of automation for those things. The M1 Gold system actually has a voice which will give you voice announcements on site. It can call you and give you a voice message when a particular event occurs, and there's also a telephone remote control. Our system can be networked, so we have an Ethernet interface that you can use to put the M1 system on a network. And what that allows you to do is to control the system from your computer, from your smartphone, your iPad, your tablet type devices, that sort of thing. So that's very convenient, and of course that's, we see a lot of people really enjoying that feature. And again, a number of user interfaces. We have touchscreen keypads, LCD keypads, little arming stations, and of course you've got all of those nice smart devices that you can work with, as well as PCs. I want to take just a moment to talk to you about the different software applications that you can use to interface with the M1. We offer a piece of software called M1 To Go, and it is a PC application. You would run that in a Windows environment, and that will allow you to do things like arm and disarm the system, pull up status, look at the event log, control your lighting, your thermostats, tasks, outputs, all that sort of thing. It's a very nice looking interface and very user friendly. eKeypad is a family of apps for the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch devices. There are a number of different apps within that family that will allow you to do different levels of control. So you have one that's basically just for the security, and then you can get one that can allow you to do more of the stuff like you want to control your lighting. So there's different levels there, and you can get that from the App Store. You can get more information about that online. And we have a link to that on our website as well, elkproducts.com. Now for Android devices, there's an app called My Keypad, and so there's the My Keypad and My Keypad Pro, again the difference being the level of control that you have, and that's available through the Google Marketplace, and again you can find more information online about that. So you know, whatever type of device you or your customer likes to use, there's an app available for it. Now, we want to just point out, you know, what's the benefit of integrating the M1 and the Pulseworx? Well, I mean, you can have the convenience of being able to control your lights from the M1. The M1 has, you know, the rules engine, which we'll show you here in just a bit, that allows you to basically automate when things happen. So you can do that based on occupancy or if the system's armed, or we have sunrise sunset calculations so that you can turn your lights on only when it's dark and you have certain conditions, that sort of thing. So, you know, energy savings is a big factor there. And then you've also got the safety and security of you know, just having, like, say, if a particular motion detector comes on, is triggered and it's dark outside, you turn a light on, that kind of thing, so that you're lighting, creating pathway lighting, that sort of thing. Our integration with the Pulseworx is very easy to do, so we're going to get into showing you that here in just a bit, but it's, you know, especially with the PME, which Scott was talking about just a moment ago, it's just a really easy hookup. They have great software to set everything up, and then you can just easily import it into our software, which we're going to show you today. And as Scott was pointing out, you know, it's the flexibility of the Pulseworx, because it's using the existing, you know, 120-volt lines that are already in place. You don't have to run new wire, that sort of thing. So it makes it great for retrofits, or it's a good option for new construction as well. Is there anything that you wanted to add to that, Scott?
No, Amy, I think you've got that covered so far.
All right. So this shows you our old way of interfacing with the Pulseworx product. You would get a PMR, which was a PIM device that had a DB9 serial port connector on it. We would have a cable going from that to our M1 XSP, which is a device that sits on the M1 data bus. So you had, you know, these three pieces to get it working, and it connects to the data bus. You can have multiple serial expanders if you need to, you know, one for this and one for thermostats, for instance. But you know, you had this kind of hookup where you get a part from Pulseworx, you get a part from ELK to get it all going on the M1.
Our science project is what we used to call
it. A little bit of a science project there. So we've simplified things quite a bit for you in offering the PME, or the M1 PCS PIM. This is a product that you can order from Pulseworx or ELK. You get the same part. We have different part numbers in the different companies, but you get the same part. And this just hooks directly to the data bus. So we're taking out that middleman piece of the M1 XSP. This is considered a serial expander type device on your data bus. It has a fixed address, so you're not going to have to worry about setting dip switches or a bunch of little jumpers to try to get it to work. You just, you know, plug it up and roll it and go, and you're in good shape there. So we've really simplified that a lot for you with this piece.
Okay, what we're going to do now is actually show how we would set up a very small Pulseworx system by using Upstart. I'm going to actually do that live here at my office, and what we end up doing is, and one of the big things that we've had advancements on within Upstart, which is free, all you have to do is go and download the software from our website. We've actually added a new configurator to the software to help you guys save a lot of time. There's a variety of different ways to actually create a file within Upstart. We can actually do everything live, which is device by device. We can do things offline, which we're not actually connected to a PIM, and actually add different devices. If there's actually an existing system, you can actually pull all of the data out of the existing devices and pull them up into Upstart. So, you know, we create a new network file, but being that I want to show you our new Pulseworx Systems Designer, what this actually does is kind of is a little bit of a wizard that'll walk you through different things. So in this case, you know, our customer is Mrs. Jones. You know, we can put in her address, you know, put in her phone number, we put in, you know, who we are, things like that, and this will kind of print out later on, so you actually have a printout of the whole job site that becomes a nice sign-off sheet. We can actually rename the network to, you know, we'll call it Mrs. Jones, and we can pick a network ID, and for today we're going to make it 107, and we can put in the network password. Now the nice thing is here we can actually erase the existing configuration of all the devices as we add it to clear out our factory default scenes, which are links 1 through 6 and number 8, which gives everybody nice flexibility. If they just put things in the wall and keypads, they can actually control things. The other nice thing is here we can actually set up the fade rate for all of the dimmers as we put them in. You know, our standard default is 1.6 seconds, but I could actually make it, you know, any of these options. Now the nice thing here is we can now just add the different rooms of the job site. And I've got, you know, 5 different rooms I'm going to add here. And I'll save the last one for later. Now, so we put in all the different rooms. Now in the living room, what are we going to add in the living room? Well, right here we're going to actually put the keypad in the living room. And we actually, on the left-hand side is the device name. On the right-hand side, we actually get to pick what type of a keypad we're putting in. So in this situation, we have a KPLD, which is our keypad with the load control. We go to the outside, and I've got my landscape lights, and that's being run by a wall switch. And we can put multiple devices in these rooms, but for expedience sake, we're only putting one in each unit. It's going to be a wall switch, and in the kitchen it's going to be the island light. Now what this will end up doing as we continue on, and it's a lamp module. And now what we do, we're to the point of saying, okay, what are all of the names of the scenes or the links that we want to have be controlled or assigned, you know, to different devices. And I'm going to put a couple of different devices in here. Now, one of the things you want to think about when you're doing scenes is there's 3 kinds of scenes that can happen in lighting control. One is global, which we've got here as all lights, a style which handles, you know, a lot of global things, all on, all off. The second would be kind of area scenes, which could be, you know, upstairs, downstairs, the living room, TV time, you know, sunset, things along that nature. And then the third is like a zone, which I've done here as the kitchen light, the pink lamp, and the outside light. So, you know, you want to think about the types of scenes that you want to run within the home, and then we go back and then reassign those scenes to the devices. And one of the big keys is what scenes do I actually want to do on the keypad. So this wizard now pulls up any keypad, and on the on button I want to turn on all the lights. What's my mode? I want to activate it, but I have a choice of 16 different things that I want to do to that. On the off button I'm also going to do all my lights, but I'm now going to deactivate. So my on and off button is going to activate all the lights and deactivate all the lights. The A button, I'm going to end up doing the living room, I think is what I set up yesterday. And on this, I'm going to make this a toggle button to where I can push the button, it'll turn on the lights. I can push the button again, it'll turn off the lights instead of just activating them. Now, I can step through here. I can do my, my outside lights, and I want to toggle that. And I'm basically assigning these different scenes to the buttons and what my functions are going to be. And once I get done with this, I will actually give, it'll actually enable me to go to the scenes themselves and set all of the settings. One of the other nice features we've done within this new wizard is enabled us to capture the engraving information, so you can do a custom engraved membrane, and whatever we type in here on the right hand side will actually be the text, and it creates the form that you can send in to get the custom engraved membrane. So now that we've finished that, the system design said, hey, I can set up the engraved, save the worksheets right now. I don't want to do that. And it's populated my different devices, and it's now populated the different links that we can, or scenes that we can set. Now, at this point, I could actually say done and go into each and every device or into the links themselves and set configurations, but I kind of want to step through and finish building my links out with what we're now calling is our link builder. What this ends up doing is showing us all of the different links we've already used, and as I click on the devices, it will actually give me a visual representation of what is my transmit. So on the all lights, I have the living room keypad on button activates it, the off button deactivates it, and I have my LED set up. But at this point, I kind of want to edit this and add all of the different lights that are in my house. So I'll double click on here, and I can see what my controllers are, or my transmit tab. My presets, I can now go in and I can very quickly grab all of the different devices, and the all light scene, I want to activate them. I want them all to go to 100%. I could actually set different lighting levels to each of the devices, and I actually don't do things at 100% because at 90% the eye can't tell the difference, and you're actually saving 10% of your energy. And the indicators actually has to do with what do we want the LEDs to do when we actually push the buttons. And on this situation, if I hit the on button, and being that I know that my A, B, C, and D buttons are actually the lights themselves, I'd actually want them to come on to indicate that the lights are actually on the keypad. So now when I look at this, I can say my on button turns these 4 lights on to 90%. The off button deactivating is actually going to turn them off. The living room lights is the A button, and I want this just to turn on the living room light. So again, I can come over here and just add the living room keypad, because that's actually the load, because it's a hybrid keypad. We're going to actually add that load to turn on, and automatically I've already got my my A button set up. So I can come in here pretty quickly now and set up my other lights to these scenes. Kitchen, and I'll add that one. And the pink lamp, and that'll be our last. And all of a sudden, we now have all of our scenes set up, and I didn't do anything with TV time or sunset. So I could actually modify the scenes in here, but I can show you how to do that in a link itself. And at this point, I could actually come out now and program each of the devices one time instead of coming in and out, back and forth, round and round, as some people have done in the past. But we can also modify links or scenes by dragging and dropping things. So being that I don't have any buttons left on my keypad, at my sunset scene, I want the pink lamp. I want that to come on at, say, 50%, and I can actually set a fade rate to that. I want it to come up to 50% in 5 minutes. I want the kitchen island lights to come to 80%, and I'll do that at, in 15 minutes. And the living room, I want to come on at, say, 75%. And we'll just have that happen right away. Now that is actually a scene, but we'll trigger that through the M1 later on because it has the brains to know when things are happening. And right now it's saying, hey, do I want to program all the devices? Right now I'm going to say no. So at this point, we've actually pretty much done everything except TV time. Now, the nice thing is that I have now saved a lot of time by creating my scenes, setting up, my different rooms. If I want to change any of the configuration of any one of the devices, I can come into that and modify any one of the functionality or configuration settings of the devices. We'll cover a lot of this in the webinar next Friday. But what I want to do right now is I can turn around and I can program this device, and what the software is going to do is come out and, well, unfortunately I already had the unit programmed from yesterday, but it's going out. It would normally pop up a little screen and say, hey, this device has not been programmed as of yet. Put it in setup. And I would put that device in setup, and right now I'm actually writing all of the scene settings and things down into the unit. Once it's finished programming, which roughly takes about a minute, the line under here will go blue, which means that everything that you set up has now been downloaded and programmed into the device. So while we're waiting on this to happen, do we have any kind of questions at this time so far, Trudy?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. One of our first questions is, does UPB conflict with any other Powerline communication technologies?
Not at all. We are very, very polite. A lot of the other technologies run at different frequencies, as well as the way that they actually communicate. So we will work with all of the other Powerline type technologies.